Everyone, welcome to CBRC E-University Module number 8 entitled Microbiology. For the overview of our module, we're going to encounter the introduction to microbiology, the importance of microbiology, the history of microbiology, the contribution of Francisco Redi versus the theory of abiogenesis, the contribution of Needham and versus the theory of Spallanzani. We're going to discuss all about the structure, classification, characteristics of bacteria, the characteristics and properties of protozoa, the classification and behaviors of fungi, algae, and of course the non-living virus. So let's start. I have here a diagram or a video showing a bacteria under the process of multiplication or in the process of multiplying its number. So these bacteria are called as microorganisms, and microorganisms are the main focus of this field of science, the microbiology. When I say microbiology, it is the study of microscopic organisms or microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, archaea, fungi, and protozoa. This discipline includes fundamental research in the biochemistry, physiology, cell biology, ecology, evolution, and clinical aspects of microorganisms. So why study microbiology? So in here, we're going to discuss the importance of studying or dealing with microbiology. Number one, microbiology has direct impact on human health. Why? Because we all know that microorganism causes diseases, right? So microbiologists together with medical technologists, so they are responsible in providing drugs, cures, antibiotics, vaccines for us to prevent from having diseases. By knowing what kind of pathogen or disease-causing microorganism, we can easily provide the cure or preventive measures to avoid the spreading of that disease. So again, microbiology has direct impact to human health. Next, the balance of nature. Food source play a role in decomposition and help other animals digest rust. That is true because microorganisms are responsible in balancing nature. How? In the process of decomposition, in which a decaying organism was decomposed and bring back to the soil, it was due to the actions of these microorganisms or the decomposers. But not only in decomposition, some microorganisms also play a role in digestion. Example is in the cow. So since cows are ruminants, there are microorganisms in their rumen, and these microorganisms are the methanogens. They are the one which is capable of digesting cellulose. Since cellulose are undigestible for the stomach's acid, with the help of these microorganisms, animal can digest these cellulose from grasses, leaves, or plants. Next, environmental. They provide safe drinking water, development of biodegradable products, and use of bacteria to clean up oil spills, called bioremediation. Microorganisms are used in distillation because some microorganism feeds on other deadly microorganisms. It can also be used in decomposition for biodegradable products, and bacteria nowadays are used in cleaning up oil spills because there are some microorganisms that feeds on the hydrogen bonds of hydrocarbons such as gasoline and oils. And that process of using microorganisms in maintaining the environment is called bioremediation. Next, industrial. So in foodstuffs, beer, wine, cheese, bread, antibiotics, insulin, genetic engineering. Because microorganisms was used in fermentation. Again, fermentation is also a process of anaerobic respiration in which the sugar was decomposed providing carbon dioxide, alcohol, or lactic acid with the aid of yeast or any other microorganism. And all that yeast is one of the microorganisms from the kingdom fungi. Agricultural. Research has led to healthier livestock and disease-free crops. Why? Because they introduce these microorganisms in fertilizers. They include microorganisms that induce nitrogen fixation. And nitrogen fixation is very important for the roots of the plant, since nitrogen is one of the essential nutrient for a growing plant. Next, the history of microbiology. So the main person who founded the microbiology is Anton van Leeuwenhoek. That's why he is considered as the father or the founder of microbiology. But for the bacteriology, it was Louis Pasteur. So Anton van Leeuwenhoek is the first person who used microscope, and his microscope was described as simple microscope because it only has one lens. He called these microorganisms as animalcules. Why animalcules? Because he believed that these microorganisms are animal-like and they are small. So cules, animalcules. But honestly, these animalcules nowadays are called as protozoa. Next is Robert Hooke. The contribution of Robert Hooke in the field of microbiology is that he's the first person who discovered cells, and these small rooms from cork cells was called as cellulae. He also led the discovery and formulation of the cell theory, in which in cell theory it states that all organisms are made up of cells. Next, the contribution of Francisco Redi versus the theory of abiogenesis. When we say abiogenesis, it is also known as the spontaneous generation. For the sake of simplicity, they believe in the theory of abiogenesis that an organism arises from a non-living material or substance. Original evolution of life or living organism from inanimate substances. They believe that life came from volcanic eruption. Life came from when the lightning hits the water and the water goes through series of reactions. So they believe that life started from non-living materials or non-living or abiotic factors. But it was falsified by Francisco Redi because he showed that maggots or the larvae of flies develop only in meat that flies could reach to lay eggs on. He believed that a certain organism arises only if there is a direct contact from the ancestor or from the parent organism. And he believed that a living organism came from another living organism, which is opposite to the theory of abiogenesis. Next is the theory of John Needham and the theory versus the theory of Lazzaro Spallanzani. According to John Needham, everyone knew boiling killed microbes. So he would boil chicken broth, put it in a flask and sip it. If microbes grew, then it could only be because of spontaneous generation, and they did grow. He believed that it is abiogenesis or spontaneous generation is true because he boiled a broth and then he closed it in a flask and suddenly there are microbes inside the flask. So meaning, although the flask is being closed or exposed to the environment, there is still the presence of these microorganisms. So that is for Needham's hypothesis. But according to Lazzaro Spallanzani, he was not convinced with the experiment of Needham's. Instead, he put a broth in a flask, sealed it, creating a vacuum, and boiled it. And there is no microbes in the cooled broth. So meaning, in the experiment of Lazzaro Spallanzani, he made sure that the flask was free from air, meaning there's only the broth inside and the vacuum. There is no other materials inside, and there are no microbes growing inside the flask. So meaning the experiment of Needham is not valid because there is a presence of air, and they believe that microorganisms are in the air. So that is proven in Louis Pasteur's experiment. So to offset the argument that air was necessary for spontaneous generation, Pasteur allowed free passage of air but prevented the entry of microbes. How? He used a S flask or a flask in which the neck is S-like. So he allowed the broth to pass into the neck until the bottom of the neck, and then the air was allowed to pass through, but the microorganisms cannot, because the neck of the flask is S or S-like. That's why in his experiment he proved that although it is exposed in the air, the microorganism can still multiply or contaminate the broth because the spores or the reproductive structures of microorganisms are present in the air. So what are the hypotheses of pasture? So number one, no living things arise by spontaneous generation. He believed that microorganisms in the air. That's why you can only prevent the domination of microorganisms by sealing the substance from a flask, a vacuum, and then boil it. That is according to Spallanzani's experiment. Next, microbes are everywhere, even in the air and dust, and then the growth of microbes causes dead of plant and animal tissue to decompose and food to spoil. This led him to develop the technique of pasteurization. He used to develop it to keep wine from spoiling. So, in the experiment of pasture, he proved that by boiling, you can kill these microorganisms. And he used that in his technique called pasteurization, which is now used in sterilizing milk. Next, Robert Koch experiment. So, according to Robert Koch, again, he's the one who discovered the bacterium Bacillus anthracis. And that Bacillus anthracis is the responsible pathogen in that disease called anthrax. So he believed that the causative agent must be present in every individual with a disease. So he believed that when you have a certain disease, then you also have this causative agent or this pathogenic microorganism. Next, with the help of the discovery of Robert Koch, they now formulated this what we call germ theory of diseases. What is this germ theory of disease? It states that microbes or germs cause disease and specific microbes cause a specific disease. So that is true because an influenza virus can only cause influenza. The plasmodium can only cause malaria. And the virus or the plasmodium carried by Anopheles mosquito or the Aedes aegypti can cause dengue. So meaning, a specific microorganism can cause a specific disease. So we're going to proceed now in the general classification of microorganisms. So they are classified into 5 groups, from bacteria, protozoa, fungi, algae, and viruses. So let's start with bacteria. When we say bacteria, they are single-celled microbes. The cell structure is simpler than the other organisms, as there is no nucleus or membrane-bound organelles. That's why bacteria are also called as prokaryotic. They don't have true nucleus and they are unicellular. And the study or the branch of science that deals with the study of bacteria is called as bacteriology. And the founder of bacteriology is Louis Pasteur. Next, we're going to proceed in the bacterial structure. So in the diagram shown on your slide, that is an example of prokaryotic bacteria. Of course, there is no nucleus, but it has this nucleoid or the DNA loop. It also has the ribosome, plasma membrane, and cell wall. Take note that the cell wall of bacteria are made up of peptidoglycan. Again, the cell walls of bacteria are made up of peptidoglycan. The locomotive structures of bacteria are the pili and the flagellum. And of course, it has the cytoplasm. The classification of bacteria. So bacteria are classified according to their shape, whether they are spherical, rod-shaped, spiral, or coma shape. For the spheres, when the bacteria is spear-like or spear-shaped, then the bacteria is called as cocci or coccus. When the bacteria is rod-shaped or bar-shaped, then the bacteria is bacilli or bacillus. When the bacteria is spiral in shape, then the bacteria is spirulite. And if the bacteria is coma-shaped, then the bacteria is vibrio. So, if there are two spiral bacteria, then the bacteria is called as diplococci. If the bacteria is in chain, then the bacteria is called as streptococci. But if the bacteria or spherical bacteria are shaped like grapes, then the bacteria is called as Staphylococci. But if the bacteria is composed of 8 spheres in cube-like form, then the bacteria is Sarcina. And also as in the bacilli, Streptobacilli, Staphylobaccilli. For the Vibrio or comma-shaped bacteria, example is the Vibrio cholerae, the bacteria that causes cholera. Next is the Protozoa. So protozoa is under the kingdom Protista. Protozoa are single-celled eukaryotes, organisms whose cells have nuclei that shows common characteristics associated with animals. Protozoa, proto meaning like and zoa meaning animals. So they are protist-like animals. Unlike algae, they are plant-like animals. So protozoa exhibits characteristics which is similar to animals like locomotion and the mode of digestion as heterotrophic. They derive their nutrition from other organisms. So I here the protozoan structure. Some protozoan uses this what we call cilia or the hair-like projection. They have the nucleus and they have contractile vacuole. Classification of protozoa. So protozoa can be classified under phylum Sarcodina, phylum Ciliopora, phylum Sarcomastigopora, and phylum Apicocomplexa. So phylum Sarcodina, it includes amoeba because they are different in their locomotive structure. The locomotive structure of phylum Sarcodina, like amoeba, is the pseudopodgia or the false feet. Amoeba causes what we call amoebiasis. Next is the Ciliopora. Ciliopora commonly oscillates for locomotion cilia. Example is the Paramecium. Next is the Mastigopora. The structure is the flagella. And the Trypanosoma, which causes African sleeping disease. Next is the Apicomplexa. It has no locomotive structure. Example is Plasmodium, which causes malaria. Next is the fungi. Fungi are living organisms. They used to be grouped together with plants, but they are distantly related. They are perhaps more closely related to animals than to plants. Consist of molds, yeast, and mushrooms. So they are between plants and animals. Why? They look like plants because they are non-motile or they cannot move and they live only from one place. They are animals because their mode of eating is by digestion. Their skin or the surface of their skin can digest substances. Next is the fungal cell structure. The fungal cell structure is called as hyphae. Hyphae because it consists of multinucleus, meaning in one cell of hyphae it is composed of 10 or more nucleus. Yes, of course, it is composed of nucleus, cell wall, cell membrane, Golgi apparatus, mitochondrion, and rock endoplasmic reticulum. And take note that the cell wall of fungi is made up of chitin. Again, the cell wall of fungi is made of chitin, just like the exoskeleton of crabs, spiders, and scorpions. Next is the classification of fungi. So fungi can be classified under chytrids, Zygomycota, Ascomycota, and Basidiomycota. For Psidiomycota, these are kinds of fungi. The best example for these fungi are the water molds. They are fungi or they are free-living fungi living on the surface of water. For the Zygomycota, these are fungi like bread molds capable of reproducing by spores. Next is the Ascomycota, which includes the yeast. They are called as Ascomycota because they have this structure called the ascus. And this ascus is the sac-like reproductive structure of the yeast. So yeast is under the Ascomycota. And the Basidiomycota is for the cloud fungi. Common example are the mushrooms. Next is algae. Algae are groups of diverse organisms that use photosynthesis to produce food. Although some forms are large and multicellular, they differ from plants in that their cells are not clearly organized into different types of tissue with different functions. Okay, so algae are plant-like because they are capable of having or undergoing photosynthesis. But they are different in plants because their tissue has different functions unlike the plants. So, algae can be classified according to their color. Chlorophyta, Chrysophyta, Dinoflagellata, Phaeophyta, and Rhodophyta. Chlorophyta are the green algae. Example, they contain chlorophyll, and of course, the example is Spirogyra. Chrysophyta are the golden brown, okay? Chrysophyta are the golden brown algae, and the example or representative organism are the diatoms. Dinoflagellata, which causes red tide, gives off light, and agitated in water. So, example is dinoflagellates. Phaeophyta or the brown algae, example is the fucus, and the Rhodophyta or the red algae, which is composed of the red pigment called phycoerythrin, and example is Corundus. Now, we're going to proceed to viruses. Virus is a biological agent that produces inside the cell of a living host. When infected, a host cell is forced to produce many thousands of identical copies of original virus at extraordinary rate. So take note of this. Viruses are non-living things. But they are classified under microorganisms because they are biological agents. They are non-living things because they only live when they are attached to a host and they reproduce inside the body of the host. That's why viruses are called as obligate parasitic particulate, meaning they only live if they are attached to a host. So that is the main characteristic of virus. So now we're going to proceed to viral structure. So virus, it can be bacteriophage or influenza virus. So those are examples. When we say bacteriophage, these are viruses that attacks bacteria or the virus that infects bacteria. So they have protein coat called capsid. They have the nucleic acid, the DNA or RNA. Take note that a virus must only have a DNA or an RNA. And then they have a tail and fibers used in attachment for their host. So classification of viruses. Viruses can be classified if they contain DNA or RNA, if they are enveloped or naked. Herpes virus, which causes herpes, is enveloped virus with DNA. The retrovirus or the HIV or the human immunovirus has RNA virus and envelope. So HIV is a virus that causes the AIDS or a sexually transmitted disease. And for the women, they have this what they call HPV or the human papillomavirus. Next is the adenovirus, which has DNA and naked, and the picorna virus. So those are the common classification of virus. We also have the rhabdovirus for the rabies. We have the poliovirus for the polio. The influenza virus, and so on. So for the summary of our module, microbiology is the study of microscopic organisms such as bacteria, viruses, archaebacteria, fungi, and protozoa. The major contributors in microbiology are Anton van Leeuwenhoek, who discovered the animalcules, which is nowadays called as the protozoa. Robert Hooke, who first discovered this the compartment called cellulae. Robert Koch, who discovered the pathogens for anthrax. Lazzaro Spallanzani, who opposed the theory of Needham. Francisco Redi, and of course Louis Pasteur, the father of bacteriology. We also discussed the general classification of microorganisms from the bacteria, the unicellular prokaryotes, the protozoa or the animal-like protists, the fungi, algae, and the viruses. Viruses is the obligate parasitic particulate. So for our trivia, did you know that the most dangerous virus ever existed in our planet is the Marburg virus. This virus is hemorrhagic fever causing virus. So this virus was spread dominantly in Africa, which causes more than 50,000 casualties because this virus is very fatal as it causes hemorrhagic fever. Hemorrhagic fever is a kind of fever in which it causes bleeding in the nose, ears, and in the eyes. And a victim can only live for 3 days. So Marburg virus nowadays is still a problem for the virologists to discover the cure or vaccine for this virus. And as compared to Ebola virus, Marburg virus causes convulsion, bleeding of mucous membranes, skin, and other organs. Marburg virus. Okay, so to check whether you learned something from our module, we're going to have our brain shaker. Direction, you have to identify the words being described or defined in each item. You can answer orally or you can write it down. Let's start. Item number 1. He first described cellulate or small rooms in court in 1665. I am referring to whom? The correct answer is Robert Hooke. So Robert Hooke is the first person who discovered cells. Next, he showed that maggots develop only in the meat that flies could reach to lay eggs on. And who is this scientist? The correct answer is Francisco Redal. So he is the one who proposed the theory of abiogenesis. Next, it is a biological agent that reproduces inside the cells of a living host. It is also called as the obligate parasitic particulate. And the correct answer is virus. So virus is the obligate parasitic particulate. Next, fungi cell wall is made up of what? Fungi cell wall is made up of what? The correct answer is chitin. Fungi cell wall is made up of chitin. Next, bacterial cell wall is made up of what? Bacterial cell wall is made up of what? And the correct answer is peptidoglycan. Bacterial cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. Next, it is a branch of science that deals with the study of bacteria. And take note, the founder of this branch of science is Louis Pasteur. The correct answer is bacteriology. The branch of science deals with the study of bacteria. Next, this division of algae includes Spirogyra, which has chlorophyll and other accessory pigments. So it contains chlorophyll. Meaning, the correct answer is Chlorophyta. They are the green algae. Next, the spherical shaped bacteria is called as the correct answer is cocci or coccus. Next, amoeba, Paramecium enuglina belongs to what group of microbes? The correct answer is protozoa. Next, yeast belongs to what group of fungi? I mentioned that earlier, that yeast has this called sac-like structure. That's why yeast belongs to this group of fungi. And the correct answer is Ascomycota. Ascomycota because this structure is called ascus, which has this what we call the reproductive structure for the yeast. Congratulations, you are now done with module number 8 entitled Microbiology. If you have any questions, suggestion, or clarification, you are free to send us an email in our online website. And there are also downloadable materials such as examination, activities, and exercises. And once again, I am Teacher Dave, your junior mentor. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Thank you.